Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Retro Life for You, the show that brings the best of the 80s and 90s movies, cartoons, and pop culture straight to your ears. I'm your host, Chris, and today we have Marty with us once again, revisiting the show. Most recently with us with what? Transformers the movie, right?
Transformers the movie, yep.
Today, however, we're breaking into one of the most intense action thrillers of the early 90s, Trespass from 1992. Not Trespass with Nicolas Cage and somebody else that I found 500 million times trying to find this movie to download.
Yeah, Nicole Kidman.
Nicole, yes. Not that one. Not that one. But this movie has got it all. I mean, we got greedy treasure hunters. We got a stash of stolen gold. We got street gangs. We got two of the biggest names in hip-hop history. Plus, it was directed by the guy who gave us Back to the Future. And that's incorrect, although it typed it out here. He didn't really direct it. He was a writer. The two guys that wrote Back to the Future wrote this movie Trespass. Walter Hill directed this movie. And Walter Hill, anybody who's familiar with his work, he did like Warriors and 48 Hours and Streets of Fire and quite a few good movies, actually. So he was also a producer in a lot of great movies like Alien and Alien versus Predator, or the Alien franchise and Alien versus Predator too. So writers were Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis, for those who aren't sure who did Back to the Future. So, Marty, this was your suggestion. It'd been a long time since you've seen the movie, you said, and would be a good one to do. When was the actual last time you watched it before you watched it for the podcast?
Oh, wow. Last time I watched this movie was probably like maybe a year after it released. So, like in 93.
That's been quite a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah.
Well, to give everybody an idea.
But to tell you the truth, this movie was awesome. I mean, the first time I watched it, I mean, action, I mean, throughout the whole movie. And even a little humor. So
a little humor, not a lot, but a little. And a lot of it took it about 10 minutes to really start, and then it's action the rest of the way through. Pretty much more or less. For those who aren't familiar with the movie, Trespass tells the story of two Arkansas firefighters, Vince and Don, played by Bill Paxton and William Sadler. Bill Paxton played Vince, Don is William Sadler, who discover a map that supposedly leads to a stash of stolen gold hidden in an abandoned building in East St. Louis. Sounds like a simple grab-and-go job, but you're wrong. Turns out the building is deep in gang territory, and before long, they're caught in a deadly showdown with a violent crew led by King James, played by Ice-T, and his right-hand man, Savon, played by Ice Cube. What follows is a tense and claustrophobic cat-and-mouse game of survival, greed, and betrayal, all playing out in the confined space of a crumbling building. Pretty much nails it, I think, the description.
I mean,
pretty good.
And just watching it not too long ago, you know, I watched it maybe a couple of days ago, and just watching it again, I mean, it just brought back all that, you know, that nostalgia of the movie that it gave me because of just, you know, how Ice-T was in the movie and how Ice Cube was in the movie before he started doing like family movie pictures and everything like that. I mean, seeing Ice Cube for what, you know, I remember Ice Cube being, you know, is
a different time frame.
Yeah, that kind of straight out of Compton, just a couple of years after. So
yeah, definitely a different thing there. And of course, Ice-T went on to really make a name for himself doing Law and Order SVU. Before that, I think his biggest claim to fame was Colors, doing the song Colors. He was rapping at the time, and people were like, you know, that's a really cool song. I don't think he was in the movie. I think that
I can't remember if he was in the movie or not.
I don't recall him being in the movie. I just recall him doing the song, unless he was in like a cameo or something while the song was playing. It's possible. I don't know, but I think his biggest claim to fame, as far as acting goes, came with Law and Order SVU, and he's been on that for he was on that for a really long time. I don't know if he still is or not.
Yeah,
if the show's even still going at this point, I'm not sure.
the show's still going, but I can't remember if his character is still on it or not.
Because they've lost quite a few of their original characters from the show.
Yeah.
So a little tidbit of the pre-production here, basically about who wrote it and stuff again, which we just basically covered a while ago. Directed by Walter Hill, as I said, flicks like Warriors, 48 Hours, Southern Comfort, producing movies like Aliens, Alien versus Predator, things of that nature. Written by Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis, which is really out of their. I would have thought out of their. I would have thought out of their wheelhouse. Honestly, the duo.
Yeah.
The duo behind Back to the Future, which makes this movie's dark urban setting a pretty wild left turn for them. The movie was originally titled Looters. Did you know that?
No.
Originally titled Looters. The movie was shot in 91, but its release was delayed due to the real world tensions surrounding the 1992 Los Angeles riots following the Rodney King verdict. Given the film's setting of two white men trapped in a black neighborhood and hunted by a gang, the studio wisely decided to rename the film Trespass and postpone the release until December of 92, giving the other real life stuff time to kind of calm down a little bit. They felt, they felt like it wouldn't have been accepted very well at the time of original release. So I can understand that.
Yeah, I can too.
Some of the people who were considered for the lead roles. Samuel L. Jackson was one of the people considered.
Really?
Patrick Swayze, Matt Dillon. Yeah, Matt Dillon, Val Kilmer.
Really?
Just recently had a Val Kilmer episode, didn't we? Now that's he's been brought up again. But of course, it doesn't say why they did or didn't take it or wasn't offered. It doesn't go that deep into it. It just mentions their names of some people who were considered for the lead roles.
Now Val Kilmer did get the role. Do you think he would have been a better Vince, or do you think he would have been a better Don?
Better Don.
A better Don? Yeah, I was thinking the same.
I think a better Don.
Because I think Bill Paxton really nailed that role, because, it was kind of like, at first they were looking for the gold. And then after the gangs show up, then they were just trying to get out of the building itself. And he just kind of nailed that role of that kind of panicky, kind of, I want to get out of here type role. So, yeah.
Right. Three actors from the Die Hard franchise were in Trespass. I know you know two of them already.
Yeah, the Black Hobo guy, he was in Die Hard 2.
Right, that's Art Evans and William Sadler were both in Die Hard 2.
Die Hard 2.
And Devereaux White was in the first Die Hard. And Devereaux White, if you're not for sure which one that is, that was Lucky.
Oh, okay. Was he the computer guy?
No, the computer guy was Clarence Gilliard.
Yeah, I don't know who Lucky. The chauffeur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, well, while we're at it, let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the cast here. Then we know Bill Paxton. The Twisters, Alien, Predator 2, not Wide or Tombstone. Tombstone. A lot of great movies. He's been in so many more. Do you know where one of his early claim to fame cameos was?
I know one movie that I really liked him in, but he was in the movie throughout the whole movie, and it was a movie called After Dark, where they were all vampires.
Yeah, no, this is not it. Now he was also the brother. He was Chet, also in Weird Science, but he had a cameo in Terminator. He's one of the two people that Schwarzenegger's Terminator character took clothes from.
Oh, yeah. He was like, "Give me your clothes."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was one of them. William Sadler, who played Don, we mentioned him. Die Hard 2, he was in Shawshank Redemption. We see him play Death in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
And the newest one.
Right.
But I think he reprised his role in the newest movie.
I believe so. It's been a minute since I've seen that one too. I wasn't really crazy about that movie.
You're not missing anything. It's a one and done.
Yeah. But he's put a lot of good things out himself over the years. Ice Cube, just like Ice-T, started off in the hip hop rap
Yeah,
industry.
we're
That's what I
rapping. Yeah,
mentioned earlier. The two hip hop artists, two of the best artists in history, and Ice-T and Ice Cube. Ice Cube started out a part of NWA and branched off to himself. Became a part of the West Side Connection at one point. But I think most of his success came when he was just on his own, and he had a little
yeah,
beef going back and forth with Dr. Dre, make him a big name for himself in music at that time. Now he's been in stuff like Triple X.
yeah.
Excuse me,
He was
the Triple
the
X
second,
after Vin Diesel. We see him in the Friday franchise, I should say.
the Friday franchise. That's
Yeah.
what made him. So,
Right. Also, now was he in? No, he wasn't in. But yeah. Well, were the All About the Benjamins? Was he in that? Or am I
yes,
thinking somebody else? He was,
a
wasn't he?
dead was it something dead presidents.
Something like
Well,
that. I
I mean,
forget
yeah,
exactly.
he was in. I think it was that movie called Dead Presidents. That was a really good movie.
Well, we move on to Art Evans. I'm gonna go ahead and open him up in a different tab here because I mean he reminds me of some other movies as well. We know he was in Die Hard 2, the guy with the maps and everything. He was in Metro with Eddie Murphy. He was in Ruthless People, and of
Yeah.
course Trespass. Of course, we have him in. Let's see here. Let me hit see all so I can scroll down to the 1980s and 90s era.
Mm, I'm
Not
trying to
taking a
think
minute.
of. I'm trying to think of everything that he's been in, but I mean, well, like you said, like his most memorable roles is from like Die Hard 2, and I want to say the one thing that I definitely remember him from was like Trespass, because you know how his character was in that movie.
Right, but I don't remember many movies that he starred in or anything. He's just been in quite a few. He was a security guard in the movie Tough Turf. Let's see here. The movie Christine. He's uncredited in Christine though. He was in Fright Night as the detective. That's the other place I remember seeing him from off the top of my head. He's the detective who
Yeah,
comes to the house to question Gary Dandridge and everything. JoJo Dancer, like I said, Ruthless People, School Days, the 9 to 5 TV series, A Different World in 2 episodes, Revenge of the Nerds. What's a TV movie, Revenge of the Nerds? Anyway, the point is he's been around in quite a few things. He just keeps popping up. He's got that face that you recognize in a lot of things, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Next, we've got Deborah White, which we touched on a little bit. Die Hard. The first I heard is playing, what was his name?
Yeah, Argyle.
Argyle, driving the limo around.
Well,
Oh,
one of my favorite scenes was Lucky, and it was at the very beginning of the movie when he tells that one dude that there's some money in the air van or whatever, and
right.
oh boy sticks his hand in there, and
Yeah.
and the mouse trap snaps on him.
Yeah. Dude tells me, he said, look, he's got a weird sense of humor, you know, but be all right with him here. He was in Split Decisions. He was in Action Jackson. Head of the Class for 47 episodes. He was like a regular on there. I didn't watch Head of the Class that often though, so I can't really say anything about that. And just a few other things here and there. It looks like nothing major going on. Now here's a couple of people here I want to look at. Glenn Plummer played Luther, and he's been in several movies. Usually, it feels like he's kind of been stereotyped in some of the movies that I've seen him in, as always as the quote unquote angry black man.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not making fun of the situation or anything, but I mean it seems like they always get him. You know, some people are always, I don't know, picked out for a certain role, and it's always the same stuff over and over. But he was in South Central, Imperial Dreams, City of Lies, Born to Hustle. He was in that as well.
Was he also in New Jack City? I could have swore I saw him in that.
Well, I'm going that way now. I'll be able to tell you in just a moment. Let's let's see, we're going down to he's in quite a few things, so whether it be little bits and pieces or what, but I'm in the 80s now. So we got let's see. He was in Who's That Girl as just a kid. Tour of Duty, one episode he was in Colors, it says. He was high top in Colors.
Okay.
Funny Farm, Chevy Chase, he was in that movie. Let's see. Equal Justice, Cop Rock, Trespass, Kung Fu, The Legend Continues, Menace to Society, Dangerous Game. One episode of Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I knew I remembered him from some TV show.
Yeah.
I remember the episode he was in too. I didn't have to look it up. I know what it was. It's where Carlton was trying to get into a fraternity, and he was telling Carlton he wasn't black enough to get in the fraternity because his old Carlton dance bit and how silly he was. What was the movie you asked about though? New Jack City.
New Jack City.
I didn't see New Jack City listed in here, so I'd say no to that. So he was in Showgirls. It looks like he was in Beyond the Edge. He was in The Substitute. I remember him from The Substitute. He was one of the teachers.
Yeah.
Speed 2, Cruise Control. And then just various things here and there after that. So it's good enough for covering that. And the other one I want to know was Bruce Young. I want to click on him because he's got one of those faces too where it's like, I know I've seen him in many things. And I just... So, Basic Instinct, he was a detective. The Color of Money, he was in Risky Business. Jurassic Park 3, that's one of the things I remember from him. He played a character called Nash in Jurassic Park 3.
Okay.
The Renegades TV series, he was in a couple episodes of that. Prison Break, as one of the COs.
Yeah.
So, let's expand out and go back down to the 80s and 90s on him as well and see what I can get out of him. In the 80s, we've got, let's see, I mentioned Risky Business. We got a TV movie called Heart of Steel, the movie Nothing in Common, The Color of Money, 21 Jump Street TV series for a little bit.
The Color of Money, is that Tom Cruise movie?
The Color of Money is a Tom Cruise movie, yes.
Yeah, where he was hustling. He was a pool
shark.
Yeah.
He was also in An Innocent Man with Tom Selleck. Now, that's one of the things I remember him from. He's one of the inmates that was trying to punk out Tom Selleck's character in the movie. So I knew Hot Shots. He was in Hot Shots and everything else. I'm looking on Naked Gun 33 and a 30, but he's uncredited in that, it looks like. Phenomenon as a character in there. He was in Highlander the series. He played the baseball player that was the immortal. Keeps trying to come back and play again every now and then.
Okay, yeah. I remember that episode. That was actually a good episode.
Yeah, it was. He was also in Undisputed as well as one of the other guys earlier too. So that's another tie-in with somebody else. I knew I'd seen him in several other things. I just couldn't put my finger on where I've seen him at. Stoney Jackson played Wicked. That's one of King James's right-hand men as well. We've seen Stoney Jackson in a lot of TV shows. And a couple of gang-related type movies. He's always in that type role, it seems like. Tom Lister, which is Tiny Lister, played Cletus. I know you said you think his name is Cleats, but they got him listed right here as Cletus.
No way. It's Cleats.
And if I know him as anything, I know him as Zeus from wrestling and the No Holds Barred wrestling, the No Holds Barred movie with Hulk Hogan. Also, he's also Debo in Friday.
Yeah, I know him better as Debo from the Friday franchise.
Right, but see, I knew him as Zeus before we knew him as Debo. So,
well, in my mind, he'll always be the Debo.
Right. One other guy I want to mention, and I'm going to make a quick point. Hal Landon Jr. played Eugene DeLong. I think he's the guy that was the one that stole the stuff, who was trying to get his conscience clear before he died in that fire when he passed he passed everything over to Bill Paxton's character. Hal Landon Jr. is Ted's dad in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah. I knew I recognized his face.
Yep, that was him.
Okay.
That was him. It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, the two people from the Bill and Ted franchise. You got William Sadler, and you got him, both from the Bill and Ted franchise.
It's such a funny thing when it's like the whole 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, they call it, how you can tie somebody together to Kevin Bacon within seven steps or something. You could practically do that with anybody in Hollywood at this point. Everybody has been in with somebody else in something. They've worked with each other on multiple occasions in multiple movies. So it's something else. I tell you. And of course, I told you Ice-T was more well known with Law and Order SVU, but you mentioned it a while ago. I completely forgot about New Jack City.
Yeah, that was a really good movie that he was in. Well, the character that he played.
And how in the world did I forget and leave out for Ice Cube? I left out Barbershop, I left out Three Kings, and I left out Boys in the Hood.
Yeah, Boys in the Hood. Yeah.
I tell you, this movie had a $14 million budget. We were talking about this earlier, you and I were, before we come on the air with this. It only made $13.7 million at the box office, so it wasn't exactly a hit. But like a lot of other movies we mention and talk about, it developed some kind of a cult following of a sense over time, thanks to the unique casting and its strong direction and tense atmosphere within the movie. You just want to watch it. So it probably made more in VHS and DVD sales than it over the years to make it a little more respectable.
Mm-hmm. At least got it up to like maybe the 20 or the 25 million mark, at least. So,
Probably. When you think of movies like Trespass, we think of stuff like Judgment Night, and what were some of the others that came up? Do you remember?
It was Judgment Night, and what was the other movie? I know Judgment Night was mentioned, and then it was
Assault on Precinct 13.
Oh yeah, Assault on Precinct 13.
Some movies kind of like this, the type of, I guess it's the action. Judgment Night really wasn't about, two treasure finders. It was these three guys that get off at the wrong exit trying to go to a basketball game, ended up in the wrong part of town, witnessed something they shouldn't have witnessed. Now they're being chased by a gang. That's got Dennis Leary as the boss, right?
Yeah, Dennis Leary was the boss. So.
And this one is something similar. You get Ice-T and Ice Cube and everybody. They kill the guy that they think is double crossing them, and they witness that. Now they're chasing them.
But my thing is, Ice-T, Dennis Leary, Ice-T seemed more of a convincing bad guy, in my opinion, than Dennis Leary did.
Yeah, Ice-T looked more like the like he had more of a legit understanding of what it's like to be, the gang leader. Dennis Leary,
the main.
See, I think what's different is they both did a good job portraying their role, but different types of gangs. Basically, you've got the street gangs there that Ice-T was running and everything. They're doing the things like the drug dealing and you get the one guy doing the pimping and everything and stuff like that.
You couldn't really tell if he was pimping or if he was gun running, because he pops up in the trunk. he pops up in the trunk, and then all of a sudden it's like, here we go. Like he's got like 10 M16s in there and a whole thing like 45 pistols, and
I think Raymond was just a businessman in general, but Ice Cube's Savon referred to him as a pimp multiple times.
Yeah,
so it kind of makes you think that that's what he was doing a lot of. Says the movie is essentially a modern day treasure hunt with a film noir twist. It's inspired in part by westerns and siege thrillers. The siege thriller would be Assault on Precinct 13. Now the western, I just read this earlier. It's loosely based on an older western as well. And if I can find it real quick, I'll tell you what it is. It's The Treasure of the Sierra Madre from 1948.
Okay.
So loosely based on it, the idea, And this movie, did you know this? The script was written by Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis in the 1970s.
I can believe that.
They've had it that long. but it went unmade until producer Neil Canton showed it to Walter Hill, showed him the script, and they said he loved it. He jumped all over it. And then, of course, they went from there. But Walter Hill.
But the thing is, I bet the script, that Robert Zemeckis, and the other gentleman did back in the 70s, I bet it would took a totally different turn. It probably was like, maybe it wasn't a black gang that was after the guys in the building. It might have been like, it could have been like an Irish gang or or it could have been maybe even like part of part of the Italian mafia that had branched off. I mean, you never know. It could have.
Never know. I know that the original script, it says the character of Lucky was actually called Lucy, and it was King James's girlfriend. Also, Vince and Don weren't from Fort Smith, Arkansas. They were from Ashland, Kentucky.
That's
where they're supposed to originally. And also, it was supposed to have been in the wintertime with constant snowfall going on. But I think they adapted it more for the time.
I think that would have been even cooler if you had the snow aspect. I mean, kinda. I mean, it did kind of give you that feel of like it was cold anyways, because they were all wearing jackets and they were all kind of, they were bundled up, but they weren't like really bundled up.
So, right, but I think it just kind of got adjusted for the time that it was released to. What do you think of some of the original titles? I told you about the Looters. That was one of them. Matter of fact, Ice Cube and Ice-T recorded a song for it called The Looters. They were going to go with it, at that point. That was the name of it until all that stuff went down. But also some of the titles considered by the studio and the filmmakers were Point of No Return, The Intruders, Fire Trap, Burning Gold, and then one that don't make much sense to me, Greed and Blood and Gold. That doesn't sound like a good title at all.
No, that's way too long.
Yeah, I don't really care. Yeah, exactly. It's long. It doesn't have a lot of. To me, it's just like a brief description of the movie. There's a lot of greed, there's a lot of blood, and there's gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. So Walter Hill said though that the film was not intentionally political, and I don't really think it's political.
No,
the way it depends on what it depends on what your definition of political is, because the way it's worded on here in the trivia stuff here on IMDb, it says it's an adventure story that harkens back to a Jack London tradition, and what makes that striking is that it's so much more real than we presume action adventure movies to be, what they have evolved to be in the last 20 years. When I was a kid, they were all about real people in tough circumstances. Now the action movie is half science fiction movie. This movie is very much a throwback in that sense, with the permanently strained relations between blacks and whites and browns and orientals in our ghettos, our inner cities. But just because the film's intentions are not political doesn't mean it's not political. Movies take their own life. This is not a movie about racial confrontation in the sense that the confrontation had nothing to do with race. Inevitably, white and black attitudes spill into the movie because of the attempt to create some kind of social reality out of the situation, or also known as we adapted to the current time frame of what was going on.
Exactly.
And they wanted to portray it like that, and things of that nature. So I mean, it is what it is. It's a movie. It's meant to be entertaining. It's not meant to be political. It's not supposed to bring out social warriors or anything like that. It's not supposed to be offensive to people. That's one of my pet peeves when it comes to movies and everything these days, is a lot of people take things personal because of what's put in a movie, when a movie is just supposed to be entertaining. Yeah. It's not real. It's not reality. And yeah. I wish more people would.
Unless it's a documentary, then it gets real.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it's a documentary and it's legit what's going on and stuff. Obviously, if it's something bad going on, be mad about it, or be outspoken about it. I understand that. Mm-hmm. But if it's a movie's a movie. I mean,
it's fiction. I mean, it's good to watch fiction.
Some of my favorite comedians out today are the ones that will make fun of everything and everybody in the crowd. They make fun of politics. They make fun of race. They make fun of, it doesn't matter. It's like South Park. Big, small, short, tall, black, white, Asian, religion.
It don't matter.
Everything is fair game.
Everything is fair game. Yeah.
Yeah, to South Park, everything is fair game. A lot of the funniest comedians right now are doing stuff like that, and people, guess what? They're laughing because it's funny, because they make it funny, and they'll take something uncomfortable that's uncomfortable for people to talk about, but make it one of the funniest things out there at the time. People will just laugh and laugh and laugh, and it's good that people can laugh, and that should show a lot of people, that
you shouldn't take everything, so
right.
serious.
And it's not as serious a problem as a lot of people like to portray it to be on television. Obviously, because people are laughing and getting along with, everything and everybody. So back to the movie just a little bit, and jump off the trivia for a minute. They're looking for the gold. Now, one of them, Don, has a metal detector. They're going to bring and start doing the floor, trying to find the gold if they can. And as it turns out, it wasn't even in the floor; it was in the ceiling of all places.
Yeah, that whole part had me cracking up when they finally realized he was laying on the floor drawing the ceiling. Yeah,
yeah,
and that's
right. And it's funny. It also gives you the idea of greed. It mentions the movie being about greed as well. And William Sadler's character is just
man
overcome with greed.
Yeah, at first he's kind of decent, but then like going into like 30 minutes into the movie after Lucky gets captured and everything, and then it's just like Don's character just kind of goes off the rails, and he tells Vince, he's like, you don't have my ex-wife to deal with, you don't have a mortgage, and you don't have this, and you don't have that. I need this gold. And then, he's like, I need this to happen.
Yep. And then, he prevents him from getting the cops that are legit out there finally. They had just fooled him earlier by making like it was a cop or something, and almost got shot by a sniper in the window. But it's legit a cop out there this time, and he doesn't want when at first they were going to just go ahead and give up everything and whatever. Then he finds out the old man knows a way out, but do I still get to keep the gold? And now his story changes again, because he was content in giving everything up just to get home and save his life. Well, now the greed factor sets back in and says, no. A while ago you didn't know how to get out of here, but now if you do, we split it 3 ways even. That's how it's going to be. And then instead of saving their own lives when they could with the cop, he prevents him from getting the cop's attention.
Don jumps Vince. He's all like he jumps him, knocks him to the ground, and he's all like, don't even call. He's got him pinned down. He's like, don't even think about getting the cops involved. And just like, but that, like you said, that's when the greed. I mean, one minute he's all like, I want to get out of here with my life just intact. They can have the gold, they can do whatever. And then next minute it's just like that greed factor takes back over. Like you said, when he found out there was a way out in the chimney, he was basically all back to gimme. I want that gold.
Right. So I wanted to jump into a few of these discussion questions because we're just now hitting about the 36-minute mark here. So they'll give us a few minutes to talk about some of these things here. Do you think that the delay that they took in renaming of Trespass, did it help or hurt the film's legacy?
I love the title Trespass because it's basically what they're doing. I mean, they're trespassing on basically an abandoned building, and then they're also in the middle of what was it, East St. Louis?
East St. Louis.
Yeah, and East St. Louis, that was just kind of a black neighborhood. So basically, they were trespassing in an empty building in a black neighborhood. 2 white guys, I mean, that's that's already
already looking suspicious and a little out of place, I guess, is what
exactly.
What they were doing.
The title made sense to me.
I don't think that the delay and the renaming of the movie The Trespass hurt it in any way. I think it definitely helped, if anything, because we mentioned earlier what was going on with the riots in California with the Rodney King thing. I think if they had put it out right away, that would have hurt their debut. It would have hurt some of the money they would have brought in to the box office. By giving that time to slow down a little bit and calm down and go away in the news, and then releasing that movie, I think made a whole world of difference for them. As far as the legacy of the film goes, I don't think it helps or hurts the legacy regardless whether they named it Trespass or they named it Looters, because they were looters too. They were there to loot the gold that the guy left behind. They're also trespassing in an area where they're probably not welcome. So I don't think it hurt the legacy of it in any way.
Yeah.
Hurt or helped.
I still think Trespass is a better title, in my opinion.
I haven't heard the song Looters before, but I've heard the song Trespass, and the song that Ice-T and Ice Cube did together for Trespass was good.
Yeah.
I really liked it. The soundtrack was good.
Yes. The
there was this Remix-A-Lot song I liked on there as well. I had the soundtrack a long time ago. I can't remember everybody that's on it, but I do remember the ones that I liked at least.
I was wondering if you remembered that Sir Mix-a-Lot was on the soundtrack.
Yeah, he's got that. The song. Goodness, I can't think of the name of the song. It's when Raymond was coming up the road in his car and he found their vehicle back there, and he stabbed their tires and yanked out the radio and their plug wires and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, it was playing. Yeah, I just can't think of the name of the song without looking up the soundtrack. Speaking of music, was the casting of Ice-T and Ice Cube ahead of its time, you think, or was it just Hollywood jumping on the gangster rap wave?
I think it was ahead of its time because it was kind of like showing it was showing how good they are as like actors in my opinion, because I mean they could have probably maybe had other black actors maybe portray King James or Savon, but in my opinion, I mean, Ice Cube and Ice-T did an awesome job.
Well, I mentioned earlier that Samuel L. Jackson was considered. I think he was considered for King James.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I could have saw maybe a younger Samuel L. Jackson maybe playing that part, and then maybe having Savon played by Ice-T. But to tell you the truth, just the way Ice Cube came as portraying Savon, and that whole part where he's all like, he's got that in there, and he's all, and then at one point I think he's all like, he's got like a toothpick, and then he's getting ready to, and then I know it's towards the end of the movie, but he's talking to Raymond about the gold and everything, and then he was all like, we get the gold, I split it 50-50 with you, and then he's like, yeah, I can.
But then he turns around on him and tells him he thinks he's taking a little bit. Ice Cube tells him he thinks he's taking a little bit more risk here. He thinks it's more like 90%, 10%. He goes, yeah, you feel me? And he's like, yeah. He said, I feel your dilemma. Like he wasn't agreeing to the 90-10, but he understands what he's trying to think about, what's going through his mind and everything. I think I kind of agree with it being ahead of its time in a sense, because not only did we get them two in this movie, we've gotten them in other movies as well, and it kind of opened the door for people like Curtis Jackson or 50 Cent to come along and be in one. You had DMX, you had Ja Rule, you had these guys showing up in movies now. I think it kind of just opened the door for them down the road. Whereas maybe if it had never happened, if they had never gotten casted in some of these movies, that you might not have seen these other guys getting opportunities. DMX is not that bad, I don't think. Ja Rule didn't. He was in that Steven Seagal movie, and I just didn't think that particular movie suited him real well. I mean,
DMX and Exit Wounds with Steven
Seagal. He was in Exit Wounds. Yep. But then Ja Rule was in the one where Seagal's undercover in prison. in that movie, which I can't think of the name of it currently. And then DMX was also, I think, wasn't he also in Romeo Must Die?
I can't remember if he was in that or not.
I
He
thought it
might
was
have been.
I thought it was a movie with Jet Li.
Yeah.
But
The exit wounds is it's got Jet Li in it. Or no, Cradle to the Grave.
Cradle to the Grave, that might be what I'm thinking of right there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. How does Trespass compare to other siege style thrillers, like in your opinion, like Assault and Precinct 13 and Judgment Night?
To tell you the truth, Trespass holds its own against both of those, in my opinion, because Assault on Precinct 13, if we're talking about the original, the 70s, I can't remember if it was made in the late 70s or the early 80s, but it was an okay movie. And the thing is, like Judgment Night, but there was just certain parts of it that just kind of lacked a little bit. But Trespass, from beginning to the end of the movie, I mean, it had my attention. I mean, it hands down, it's like that movie over those two movies. Trespass was the better out of the three.
It was probably hard not to have our attention with it because there was always something going on action wise, especially once the whole thing got underway where Bill Paxton's character witnessed the guy falling from the roof. And now they know they're there. And from that point forward, it was nonstop of them trying to find a way to get Lucky back out of there alive, or them trying to figure a way of getting out without getting killed and still getting the gold.
Or even, the whole part, what happens to Lucky, and then the one guy saying, I didn't mean to, do what I did, but, tell King James that, I didn't mean it. And then that's when the movie just went off the rails. At that point, it was just like, it was like every man for themselves. Like that, at that point, I mean,
I think that's where he finally agreed to go with Savon's idea and burning the place to the ground. He told him to go get that C4 and set it up like he liked it.
Exactly.
And then of course you had the setting the fires throughout there and everything. So, so could this film work if it were remade today? And if so, who would you cast in it?
Ooh, man. To tell you the truth, I don't know if I could see this movie actually being remade. I mean, I loved everybody that was in the original. I mean, but if I don't know. Maybe if there was like, I don't know, what's that one cat's name that has all the tattoos on his face and stuff? Well, not Jelly Roll, but
I saw. So you really narrowed it down there, didn't you?
the other
Is it
the other rap,
the Machine Gun Kelly or something like that?
Well, like I could actually see maybe, possibly Lil Wayne playing the role of King James if they did a remake.
Yeah,
like I could see that. I could see like Lil Wayne, playing, King James's part, and then maybe have I don't know who could play Savon. I mean, it's I would almost say, well, no, to actually have like maybe like a white rapper even come in and play Savon's character.
I mean, they like to do this in Hollywood where they change the roles around. So I mean, that wouldn't be out of the question of what they do in today's movies and everything. So that could be a possibility for sure.
That one cat, like I said, not Jelly Roll, but he's a white rapper, but he's got a lot of tattoos on his face.
Is he the one? Is he the one who went to country music? Not Jelly. He said not Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll likes to be a little country music too, but
yeah. But yeah, it is a cat that went to. He was rapping, and then he had a couple of slow songs that
I know who you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. Now I could actually see Lil Wayne as King James and that guy as maybe Savon's character, because I would almost believe it would almost be believable.
I think bringing in, what is the guy's name? He was on SNL recently as one of the hosts, and they made him into Beavis. Ryan Gosling, is that his name?
Yeah, Ryan Gosling. Yeah,
I think I could see Ryan Gosling playing the role that Bill Paxton played.
well, Vince. Yeah,
Yeah, I think I could see him pulling that off, and maybe bringing someone. I don't know, maybe Jake Gyllenhaal doing the one as the other one.
Don. Yeah,
Yeah, you could do something like that to pull it off. Did you notice one thing about the movie? Unless you're talking about the very beginning where the fire was, they were at putting the fire out. There's no women in the movie at all.
Yeah,
They were
right.
just background characters at the fire that was when in the building.
And then, like at one point, like even in the bar scene where they're talking about going up to, East St. Louis, I don't even remember seeing any women in the bar, to tell you
Well,
the
I
truth.
mean, they were just concentrated on them, I think, more than anything.
Yeah.
When it comes down to that. Well, we're getting pretty close to the end here, I guess. We're about 50 minutes or so in. So I'm going to go ahead and just real quick. At its core, Trespass is a film about greed and trust and what desperation does to people. And that showed on William Sadler's character the whole time, the greed and the desperation and what it does. Because he's, like you said, he started out pretty decent. And before you know it, the gold has done changed him. The thought of, that money has changed him.
Yeah.
The two main characters come in with good intentions, but are quickly corrupted by the lure of gold, as we just said. Meanwhile, the gang members are humanized, not just faceless villains, adding layers to what could have been a paint-by-number action film. But let's not forget that this film brought together two of the biggest hip-hop legends before that was a common Hollywood move. That's a plus for it. As far as its legacy goes, it's from what it's talking about here. Does that pretty much sound like it narrows it down for you? I mean, does that pretty much describe the movie and the legacy of the movie? If you think back to it over the years, I mean, like you've seen it a couple of times. I might have seen it a handful of times or less, but while thinking about back to it over the years, I'm thinking to myself, that's pretty much it. I mean, especially the part about the greed, trust, and desperation. I thought that was the biggest highlight of the movie.
Yeah, and I mean, you even get that from, you just don't get that from Don and Vince's character. I mean, you literally get that from even Savon and King James, Ice-T and Ice Cube's character also, because at one point it's like Ice Cube is literally ready to like kill King James and basically take over the gang. At one point he's telling Raymond it's time for a change.
Right, right. And that's where that greed, his mistrust for the way King James is running things, his desperation to want to be the man in charge and the man that runs things and makes the money and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
It's the same thing all around. So
that one part was crazy. Well, not crazy, but it was kind of funny. It was where Raymond was all like, he was all like on the phone with that one person, and then King James walks up to him and he's all like, yeah, I need you to do this, this, and this, and he's all like. And then Raymond's all like, oh, I'm a businessman. I got going on. And King James reaches into his pocket, pulls out that big old wad of cash, and he slaps it in his hand, and he goes, "You work for me today." Yeah. And then Raymond's all like, "Hey man, let me call you back. Let's get back together tomorrow."
Yeah. I'm a little bit busy today.
Yeah, I'm a little bit busy today.
All in all, the movie was good. As far as rewatching it, if you were to, I'm going to borrow something from my friend Tim here. I thought this was a good idea he did, and I'm not going to put it in every episode, but the thought just occurred to me. As far as rewatchability of this movie, you haven't seen it since the year after it came out, but you just rewatched it again. Is this a movie that you can see yourself returning to every year and watching it again, or is
Oh
it one of
yeah.
those where you just every couple 3 years you might go back and revisit it? Like on a scale
Yeah.
of 1 to 10, how, with 10 being the best and 1 being the least, how rewatchable is it to you?
Oh, yeah, dude, this is at least an 8.5 or a 9. I would definitely watch the movie again.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
you're definitely into it.
yeah,
Yeah, for me, it's like a 6.5 to 7 probably. I'll watch it if it's on, if I have nothing else going on, but I'm not gonna go search it on television. Like I'm not gonna go to my Roku device and type in, Trespass 1992 and see if I can get it to come up to watch it. But
man.
like earlier, Marty stopped by my house earlier for a minute. I was in here and Transformers the movie was on. Not the cartoon that we did. Not the cartoon. The live action Transformers. I tend to watch the Roku channel quite a bit, and on the not the well not this was actually Pluto's what it was, not
Whatever,
Roku.
yeah,
Pluto has movie channels, and they tend to play the same stuff over and over all day.
like
And
all the time.
yeah, so but you can search movies on Pluto and Tubi and Roku and stuff like this. But so I wouldn't go out and just search this movie out and find it. If I ran across it, and I was like, oh, I hadn't seen that in a minute. We'll watch that. You
Yeah,
know, I could see me doing that, but not purposely seeking it out. Probably.
just like you said. I mean, I think it was like last month. Pluto had. I was watching on my Samsung TV, and Pluto had Judgment Night on, and I was really shocked to actually see that. I was flipping around the channels, and then just all of a sudden, I was like, I saw it, and I was like, "Hey, I remember this movie." And then
I'm probably gonna watch
I
that
watched like
next.
the last 45 minutes of it.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna watch that next because I just watched Trespass. Now I feel like I have to watch Judgment Night, and I don't know if it's because of both of them. Like I'm tying them together because they're similar movies, or because they both have great soundtracks.
Mm,
Combination of the two, whatever, But I mean, I feel like I need to watch that movie now, so
yeah.
I might be seeking that one out here.
Okay.
So
Yeah. I mean, and I could probably literally go to my Pluto and then just type in Judgment Night, and it'll probably pull it up, and I could probably watch it. So,
probably so, probably so.
but but I,
All right, well,
but I will say this: when I went to go try to find Trespass to watch, I
yeah.
literally had to go to my Amazon Prime and rent that bad boy for like $4.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that here in a minute that we couldn't find it anywhere available to watch for free. You have to pay to rent it unless you're one of the people who have one of these little special hookup places where you may or may not watch your movies at. I'm sure the fine outstanding people that we have that listen to this show do not do such trickery with movies.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
We also didn't download music on Napster when it came out either.
Well, yeah, of course, of course.
Just to say. So, all right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. It's gonna do it for this episode of Retro Life for You. So, if you enjoyed this dive into the gold guns and gritty glory of Trespass, be sure to subscribe and leave a review on Apple for us and share with your fellow movie buffs. You can share us with Spotify as well. We also have a website, www.retrolife, the number 4, the letter U.com, where you can watch things you can listen in your browser. And if you go to the show notes, it should have the video link in there as well. But speaking of a video link, what better place to go to than YouTube, to the YouTube channel? Just type in Retro Life for You there. That's for YOU, not the letter U. And you'll pull up our homepage there. Matter of fact, easiest way to go to it is www.youtube.com/@Retro Life for You. And it takes you straight to our homepage on YouTube. So you can like, share, hit the little bell for the notifications when the new one's uploaded every week, and just watch us on there. So until next time, Marty, see here, we're right here. Until next time, stay retro and remember sometimes that the real treasure isn't gold, it's
Yeah,
surviving.
yep, that is for sure.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Marty, thanks for being with us again.
No problem, Chris. Have a good one.